The internet, of course, provides a platform for millions of people around the world to make their voices heard. So-called citizen journalists can find an audience without needing to own a printing press or a television transmitter. Loyce Kareri is one such person, a Kenyan who now lives in the United States. She entered an essay contest sponsored by Helium.com and the Pulitzer Center. It's meant to encourage unique perspectives on underreported stories. Today, her entry about why the world should care about the environment in African nations was announced as one of this year's prize winners. Loyce Kareri joins us now from Columbus, Ohio. And here in the studio, I have John Sawyer. He is the executive director of the Pulitzer Center. Thank you both for joining me. John Sawyer, let me start with you. What is citizen journalism?
Well, citizen journalism for us is a way of engaging citizen voices and issues around the world. The Pulitzer Center on Crisis Reporting is about bringing coverage of issues that have gone underreported in the American media, and we sponsor professional journalism all over the world. But we think that there is, in addition to a supply side problem and a gap in the supply of good coverage of issues that need to be reported all over the world, there's an equally large challenge for journalism in that on this demand side, that there a huge number, a generation that is no longer really paying attention to traditional media. And so we have tried very hard with the Pulitzer Center to engage a broad range of citizens, particularly young people, in international issues. And we saw this citizen journalism contest and the opportunity to work with Helium as a way of tapping into a community of young people and older as well who have interest and have concerns and want to speak out on these issues.
Okay, well, let's turn to Loyce Kareri. Congratulations, first of all, Loyce, on your prize. Well done. I was reading your essay and I saw that you asked the question, how can the world show it cares about the environment in these places? Loyce, do you see yourself as a crusading citizen journalist?
I certainly am. I do. And especially for my generation, like John said, at some point we switch off and we turn off the voices of what we hear, things that are not really irrelevant, but things that do not listen to our point of view. And so I believe I am crusading to get a new generation to rise up and let their voice be heard.
Do you think you could one day replace conventional, traditional journalists?
Not really. I think if we work hand in hand, we can certainly make an impact. I believe that in some instances, we are able as citizen journalists to get a side of the story that maybe a regular journalist might not, in the sense that the production itself and the publication will be independent of somebody else's idea and opinion.
John Sawyer, back here in the studio, we're talking there about Loyce and her essay, but of course citizen journalists are using a whole range of technologies all around the world, aren't they, to get their stories out?
Absolutely, but we think that it's very important to bridge between professional journalists and citizen voices, and that's what one of the things that the contest with Helium was about. So it's, as Loyce said, it's not about replacing professional journalists, it's about engaging people and engaging the consumers of news to be, in a way, owners of news and participants in the discussion. And
Loyce talked about African environment in her story, but what are the stories that you feel mainstream journalists aren't reporting that need to be told by citizen journalists?
Well, in the case, her work is a good example, because that is playing off journalism that we sponsored. All of the essay questions in the Helium contest keyed off of journalism projects that we sponsored, and they were published in some of the largest newspapers and broadcast outlets in America. And in the case of African and the environment, the project was about the environmental consequences of human conflict in places like Mozambique and Rwanda and Zimbabwe, and these were all underreported issues. So do they tend to be from the kinds of places that large networks, American networks in particular, are not sending their journalists to anymore? Right. And we did a project on the attempts to restore a national park in Mozambique, the Gorongosa National Park, that was destroyed in the Civil War in the 1970s, 1980s. And a man named Greg Carr has spent $40 million committed $40 million to rebuild that. No coverage of that in the United States. We did a project on it. We got article in the Smithsonian, on television, and then this project, the contest that Loyce entered, was a way for her to talk about it.
Loyce, is there a story that you are burning to cover that you think the mainstream media is not covering?
Yes, there is. I believe that in spite of all the negative information that comes out of Africa and about Africa, there is one key resource that has not been shown, and that is an education system. I'm a product of a very strong education system in Kenya, and I believe that there are many brilliant young people that come out of that area, and I really, really would like to shed light on the good side of the education system in Africa in general.
Loyce Kareri there. Congratulations again on your essay and on your prize. Loyce Kareri in Columbus, Ohio, a citizen journalist. John Sawyer, director of the Pulitzer Center, thank you for joining me here in the studio.